Hey everyone, and welcome to my review for the Eufy Floodlight Cam 2 Pro. So as you'll have seen from my previous video, I installed this a little over a week ago now, so I've had chance to have a little bit of play about with it, as well as obviously go through the whole setup, installation and testing period. So firstly, what we'll do is we'll go through it in that particular order. So in terms of the actual setup, it is quite straightforward. Before you do anything outside your house with regards to the installation, what you have to actually do is set it up inside your house. So it comes with, as you will have seen in the unboxing video, a USB cable, a micro USB cable. What you do is you plug that in and you follow the instructions through the app. So as soon as you plug it in, you'll get a little blinking light on the actual device itself, and all you do is you hold the sync button and you'll hear a beep, and the light on the blue, I believe it goes to a flashing blue. At that point, you just follow the prompts through the actual app itself. It's pretty straightforward, and it normally adds straight away pretty quickly. Another thing to note is the actual LED panels won't light up off the micro USB cable. They only actually light up once you have it fully installed and it's powered off the mains basically. It's designed not to actually switch on unless it's got mains power. So coming on to the actual installation part. So I think it probably took me around about an hour to an hour and a half to actually install, but to be fair, probably about half an hour of that was me removing the old floodlight because I hadn't installed it, so I just couldn't figure out how it was actually mounted on. Obviously, before you start any of this, kill the power. The floodlight is actually linked off my kitchen switch, and that's something I'll come on to a little later on in the installation part. Right, so once you've removed your old floodlight, or if you haven't had a floodlight installed and you're ready to actually start installing, it's quite straightforward. So what you want to do is plumb the cable through the rubber grommet on the back of the sort of mount, if you like, the back casing for the actual floodlight itself. Now, one thing to note is I did actually find, as I mentioned in the unboxing video, that I had to actually bring the whole mount down slightly because there is no sort of recessed area for the cable to actually hide behind the back portion, if you like. So I had to bring my back mount down enough so then the cable is actually hanging behind it as opposed to being directly underneath it. So that's something to bear in mind, that you guys might need to do a similar thing. So once you've done that, channel your wires through, wire it in as the actual guide suggests. There's a guide in the actual app, as well as obviously the paperwork that comes with it as well. So you should only have 3 cables to wire up. You'll have your neutral, you'll have your live, and then you'll have your ground. Some people will have different colors. One of my cables was red rather than being brown, but obviously you can figure that out based upon the 3 cables that you've got. You wire it into the mount side first, and then what you do is you hang the actual camera unit off the long fixings, so the center bolt that comes with it. So there's only actually 3 fixings that you need to install. You use the hook that came with it to actually hang it on there whilst you're installing it, just to take the weight off, so then you can actually work freely. Once you've done that, obviously connect the main center bolt through and just tighten down, and that's it. That's your installation done. Obviously, before you fully finish everything and start unwrapping everything, go test it, make sure that it is still getting power, and you're good to go. Now, one thing to note that I actually missed during my installation was the PIR sensor. So I'll put on screen, there's a little slide, 2 slides in the actual setup that, because I'm quite impatient, I ended up skipping past, but there is a little slider that you can narrow the actual PIR sensor, and I think that's actually causing one of the issues that I've got in the app, where whenever I'm doing a panoramic image of the area you can actually scan, it's going all the way around, so it's actually catching the walls as well as what's in front of it. So that's something that you may want to just adjust that, or have a little play about with it whilst you're actually setting it up. And the final thing is literally just adjusting your LED panels. Now, for me personally, I found that I've probably adjusted mine too far down. I've got them pointing too far down, so I am getting a little bit of reflection in the actual lens, or the sort of cover on the camera lens itself. So I do need to go back and adjust those, but as you will see from some of the sample clips, we've had snow over the past few days, so obviously I didn't really want to go out in the snow and be messing about with the actual camera in the cold basically. Okay, so coming onto the app, and we'll just have a quick quick look through the actual settings, because what I'm going to do is I'll do a separate shorter video that will go through all of the settings on the app. In terms of the actual app, most things are the same as all of the other cameras that you will add into the Eufy security app. So you've got camera on, status, auto, night vision, and then you've got the logo. So all that top section is all the same. The only difference is in terms of where you've got your motion detection, and you've got these sections at the bottom where you can select range of the actual sensors. That's not on any of the battery powered cameras, not in that same way. And then obviously when you come down to the light settings, now in terms of the actual light settings, this is what you're going to see it referred to on the actual packaging itself. So obviously it says 3 tunable light panels, and you have options of going from all the way from warm white all the way to cool white. I leave mine on cool white. I tend to find that that's better for the way I've got it set up with all my garden lights as well. It just blends in better with those. So you can set that however you want. Obviously, as I said, I prefer the cool white light, so that's what I've got mine set to. You do have options for having it enabled. Obviously, the floodlight section of the unit, you can have it as a night light, so you can have it set to come on at sunrise or sunset, and then you can schedule it to basically come on and go off based upon different times, different days, things like that. You can set your own schedule for that. You can also set the brightness as well. I don't have the ambient light enabled because basically I don't need it in the back garden. If this was mounted on my porch light, then yeah, I would probably need it there. Motion activated light, similar thing, so you can actually set it so then how long the light stays on after motion is detected. I've got it set to 60 seconds, and then you can also set the sort of sensitivity of how quickly it comes on as well. And then finally at the bottom you've also got the manual light, so obviously whenever you turn on the light manually, this is the settings that you're going to be presented with. Below that you just have the standard sort of Eufy cameras, so you have your recording settings, you have your camera storage. Now I did actually try porting this over to HomeKit using Homebridge, and basically using the NAS RT-SP stream. However, it didn't work. For whatever reason, it just doesn't want to pull across properly. So below that, we do have the video quality. So obviously, because this isn't going into HomeKit, I can leave everything fully maxed out. So 2K, which is the same rating for all of the pro cameras from Eufy, and then you have a few other options down below as well. These obviously, as I said, I'll go into further details in a separate video. Notifications, this is for whenever motion is detected, and if you do want to adjust that, I'll show you in another I'll show you a little later on, because initially when it's the way it's set up, every single time it detects motion, you're going to get a notification, and that becomes quite annoying very quickly. It literally bombards you with notifications. And finally at the bottom, anytime you make any adjustments to it, you can do a manual calibration as well. Audio settings, this is for the built-in speaker. So as I said, all of the Eufy cameras tend to have built-in speakers that you can actually communicate through, and this one is particularly loud. I did actually test it where I was sat inside and I could actually still hear it sat inside, and this is obviously mounted outside my kitchen patio doors. Just below that you've got time settings. Obviously these are just your generic sort of time settings, and then down at the bottom you've got all of your sort of self-help kind of things. So if you've got any problems, you can get information about the device, you can share it. Share devices basically when if you've got other people in your Eufy security sort of network, if you like, you add this device to them using that. Now I did mention the notifications and how they bombard you when you initially install it. So in order to change that, what you want to do is come down to the security tab, click on the actual floodlight itself, and then what you want to do is you can either use the various different types of setups, or so for example home, away, all that kind of stuff, or you can just go in and customize it. So in order to customize, you just click on the little cog, and then you can enable or disable push notifications, video notifications, all those kind of things, what you want it to do essentially every time it detects motion. So I've got it set so then it records every type of motion that's detected, but it doesn't necessarily need to actually notify me via the phone. You can, if you want, obviously also set the camera alarm. I would probably use that for whenever you've got away set. So then in this one, as you can see, it's got push notification and it's got the alarm as well. So if anything's detected whilst you're out, then obviously that will kick in, whereas when you're home you don't necessarily want the alarm going off. The alarm is very, very loud on this. I'd say it's probably the loudest out of all the Eufy cameras that I've actually tested, so just bear that in mind if you do actually try testing that indoors. Okay, so coming on to the actual review portion of the video. So this is literally just going to be in terms of my thoughts in terms of how it's performing. So firstly we'll start with the floodlight part. So motion detection is very good. It's very fast. It seems to have a very wide angle, so it will detect it almost anywhere, wherever it's detected motion, from the point where I actually open my kitchen doors to even as soon as you come around the fence, and it even detects in the neighbouring properties as well. So we have had a few instances where neighbours have actually walked by, and because of the angle of the camera, it's detected motion and it's actually turned the lights on for that, as well as recorded as well. So the floodlight portion of it works perfectly fine. Obviously I do have that issue at the moment where it's angled down too far, so it is getting a reflection in the actual camera lens itself. I suppose it's very difficult to actually eliminate it completely, as we've seen with other devices as well. It's very hard to get rid of that, especially on a curved sort of dome glass panel, if you like. But yeah, I wish they would have done something to that. If there is any improvement made for sort of version 3, that's first thing I'd put on the list, is try and get rid of that glare, because it does limit how far the camera actually sees. So anything below the camera or anything facing straight down, that's all very clear. But as you'll see from the actual sample videos, anything towards the top of the image seems to get blurred out by that glare. And obviously if somebody's at the back of the property, you want to catch them at the earliest point, not necessarily when they've come closer to you. In terms of image quality and recording from the actual camera itself, image quality, as you'll see, compared to my standard Eufy cam, which is a 1080p image, is much sharper. Colors are much better, clarity and definition is much better. Everything is a lot clearer, and I think the dynamic range is just slightly better as a result of that as well, because different items such as the fencing, such as the grass, the sky, the shed at the back of the garden, all these kind of things, and obviously people and faces, clothing, all those kind of things, they pick up a lot better on the floodlight cam, because it is 2K and because it's recording straight into the actual camera itself, into the onboard storage. Recording quality is perfectly fine for me, because this camera isn't going to be getting loads of usage for now anyway. Storage isn't an issue, but obviously it's just going to overwrite the oldest events, if you like, and that's perfectly fine by me. I think it's got about 7 gig usable storage on board, and obviously these files are normally very small. Whenever you're saving them, they save relatively quickly, and you can actually send them via iMessage or WhatsApp or something like that quite easily, without them basically taking too long to actually send through as well. So yeah, that's my review of the Eufy Floodlight Cam 2 Pro. I'm very happy with it so far. The one wish I would have had was that if it could have got HomeKit support. Obviously this would have meant that I could actually relocate my back garden camera that I've currently got set up there, that I use just for HomeKit, just to keep an eye out on the garden. So it has replaced the floodlight that I had there, and the light, I think, whilst maybe not as bright going straight forward, it is spread out further, so it does actually light up a wider area. So from that point of view, obviously it's performing much better. And the camera, as I say, it's just an added bonus. It's wired. I don't have to worry about batteries or charging or anything like that. I can set everything to maximum, motion, recording, time limits, all those kind of things, and not have to worry about it. So that's all good. Anyway, that's it for this particular video. I will have another video coming where I go into more detail on the actual app itself. I'll go through every single setting and column in the actual app itself, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe and also hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime I upload any new videos, and I'd really appreciate if you also give this video a thumbs up. That really helps the channel out. And other than that, thanks very much for watching.